A lot of immigrants have heard of the term EB-1A, but they do not fully understand it. So in today's video, we are going to take a deep dive so that you are not left to assume things. Because this is where a lot of things go wrong. You ask non-expert and you are misguided even unintentionally, and you end up making a wrong decision. So if you are a researcher, scientist, entrepreneur, artist, physician, executive, or engineer, the EB-1A is not just a visa category. It is green card for permanent residency in the United States, which basically means in other terms that you are a lawful permanent resident with freedom to live and work anywhere in the US and eventually eligible for US citizenship. Now, one of the most powerful advantages of EB-1A is this, that it does not require employer sponsorship. You can petition it yourself without seeking permission from your employer or needing sponsorship from them. And it's not tied to a specific company. You do not require an HR to do your paperwork, and you do not need labor certification like you need it for EB-2. Unlike EB-1B for outstanding professor and researchers, or EB-1C for multinational executive and managers, or EB-2, you can switch employers freely. You can start your own company, you can consult independently, or take any employment opportunity without having to port your priority date, which is the case with EB-1B, EB-1C, or EB-2. The EB-1A petition is based on your achievements and not your employer. Okay, and this gives you a lot of peace of mind. So let's see and take a deep dive who is actually eligible to apply. EB-1A is available to individuals in the United States on many different visa types. You could be a student on F1 visa, or an exchange visitor on J1 visa, or specialty occupation on H1B visa, extraordinary ability researcher on O1A visa, or intra-company transferee on L1 visa. Or you could be a dependent of these visas like F2, H4, J2 visa holders. And being a dependent does not take away your eligibility. You basically are eligible to apply. Applicants do not need to be physically present in the United States to file. So you could be living in your home country or working in a different country, but you can still apply from that country, making EB-1A highly flexible for global professionals. So let's look at the critical steps. So there are two critical steps for EB-1A. Step 1, determine if you meet the legal standard, meaning USCIS applies a two-part analysis. One is you must either win a major internationally recognized award like a Nobel Prize, Oscar, or Pulitzer. And I know most of us do not have this, but there is nothing to worry about it, because you still have a shot if you can still qualify by meeting at least 3 of the 10 USCIS criteria. And then comes the second step, because meeting 3 criteria alone is not sufficient. USCIS, after step 1, performs a final merits determination. And during this step, it reviews all evidence together and see if there is a cohesive narration to ensure that you truly demonstrate sustained national or international acclaim, and that you are among the very top of your field of endeavor. Now, let's look into these 10 criteria. Remember that you don't have to have all 10 criteria, okay? And meeting more than 3 criteria does not automatically qualify you. So we'll discuss about that. So what is first criteria? It is nationally or internationally recognized awards. The strong evidence includes competitive research prizes like National Science Foundation Career Award, or industry innovation awards such as R&D 100 awards, or let's say an R01 grant. International professional competition wins. But you have to remember that you are not just getting an award, but you have to also prove how competitive the award was, what was the selection criteria, the prestige of the awarding body. Because when you do not have this, you are submitting weak evidence like internal company awards, local or minor community awards, participation certificates without ranking or competitions. So do not submit weak, but submit strong evidence. Second is membership in associations requiring outstanding achievements. This is the keyword, outstanding achievement. Strong examples include invitation only fellowship or academies, peer-reviewed professional societies. Documentation for this award should include, for this criteria should include letters detailing selective criteria, description of the association prestige, number of members or selection rate. Weak evidence includes paid membership or open membership, which anyone can join without any selection criteria, or student or general memberships like the conference membership. They do not qualify and can make your case weak. Criteria number 3, published material about you. So that includes interviews in a major newspaper, industry or trade publications, profiles, and evidence would include circulation data or readership statistics, because we have to prove that it is mass in nature. Second is publication reputation. Third is English translation if needed, if it was published in a different language. Weak evidence here includes articles written by yourself, minor blogs or community newsletters, publications without any verification of audience or mass circulation. Criteria 4, judge of the work of others. Example includes peer reviewer for journal or the editorial role for journals, conference abstracts or grant panel reviewer, or competition judge at national or international level. As evidence, you should provide invitation letters or official appointment documents like emails, reputation of the reviewing body, dates and scope of review. Weak evidence here includes informal mentoring or student advising within the organization, reviewing without official recognition or documentation. Fifth criteria is original contributions of major significance. Evidence of impact to fulfill this criteria needs are high citation records, patents adopted commercially, innovations implemented in industry, policy influence, independent expert letters. Now again, you don't have to have all of these, but if you have more of these, it's beneficial. So focus on major impact and not participation. Weak evidence here would include contributions without measurable impact, or minor improvements or small role in a project. Imagine a third, fourth, or fifth author publication, for example, or claims not corroborated by independent letters. Sixth criteria is authorship of scholarly articles. To fulfill this criteria, provide copies of your publication, provide full copies, and journals impact factor, especially if they are high impact factor, citation counts if you have high citation count, and indexing proof, because it needs to be peer reviewed. USCIS evaluates quality and influence and not just quantity of publication. Weak evidence would include publication in low tier or predatory journals, non-peer reviewed articles, minimal or no citations. Seventh criteria is display of work at artistic exhibitions, and it does not apply to most scientists and engineers, but if you are an artist, you could be submitting museum exhibitions, international art fairs, curated showcases, and document would include venue prestige and selection standards, catalogs or invitations, critical review process that required you to do this activity. Now, weak evidence here would include local community shows or online only displays without selection process, or informal exhibitions. Let's talk about the eighth criteria, which applies to most scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs, which is leading or critical role for distinguished organization. Show that the organization is reputed, and second is that your role was either leading or critical. And remember that leading does not mean that it is the title alone, but your contributions and impact within the organization and even beyond it. Evidence would include company revenue or ranking data to show that it is a respected organization, media recognition establishing company as innovative or reputed, as well as letter from the employer describing your essential role in fulfilling that critical or leading role. Weak evidence includes generic job titles, and simply being a director, VP, or CEO does not suffice. You have to prove that your role was critical or leading. Routine responsibilities without documented impact, and small organizations without recognition, these all are weak criteria, so make sure that you're submitting stronger version of these criteria or evidence. Ninth is high salary compared to others. Your compensation should demonstrate recognition of extraordinary ability. So what are the strong evidence to fulfill this role? They include pay records, industry wage surveys, and government statistics proving that you are earning more than most of the people in your field and for your title. Weak evidence includes standard or average salary, unverified claims, small perks or bonuses without any context. 10th is commercial success in performing arts. Again, it does not apply to most scientists and engineers, but if you are an artist, you can demonstrate measurable commercial impact of your work. And the examples of strong evidence here would include box office receipts for films or performances, streaming numbers or downloads for music or media, and album or sales certifications. Awards based on commercial performance also count. Documentation should include verified reports from recognized industry sources, media coverage confirming success, and most importantly, if there are certificates or official statements from distributors. Weak evidence to fulfill this criteria would include self-reported numbers, local sales without independent verification, and unrecognized platforms. Now let's talk about something that I keep getting a lot of questions about, which is expert or recommendation letters. How do you make a selection? A key component of a strong EB-1A petition is expert letters, also called recommendation letters or key opinion leaders letters. These letters carry enormous weight within EB-1A because they show that independent authorities recognize your extraordinary ability. The word here is independent and extraordinary. So who should write your letters? In most cases, the strongest letters come from independent experts who are outside your organizations and are not related to your employer. So senior professionals in your field with established reputation, leaders who can credibly evaluate your contribution in an unbiased and objective manner. Optional but helpful are a small number of letters from direct collaborators or supervisors if they add unique insights that independent letters cannot. For example, for a critical or a leading role or original contributions, they can still be helpful. Strong letters must include specific description of your contribution. The keyword here is specific. Second is example. Like the example for this would be Dr. Pant patented method for X and is now used by 80% of Y laboratories worldwide. Second is demonstration of impact, such as publications, citations, patents, commercial adoption, or policy influence. Third is statement of your standing in the field. Why are you among the top X% globally? Comparison to peers without naming individuals if appropriate. Fourth is independent validation, such as these letters should not repeat your CV, they should interpret your work and explain its significance. Fifth kind of letter is institutional credibility, letters including the author's title, affiliation, years of experience, and awards of recognition. Weak letters include generic statements like this person is excellent without any evidence. So remember, every statement that you are making has to be backed with evidence within EB-1A criteria. Weak evidence also includes letters from current supervisor without any independent credibility. Weak letters also include repetition of evidence already in your CV or publications. Letters lacking institutional affiliation, date, or signature. Letters that do not explain why your contribution is extraordinary. So here are my tips to maximize the impact of your letters. Use 5 to 8 letters for EB-1A if possible from independent experts. Try to have most of these letters coming from independent experts, and each letter should highlight different aspect of your work or achievements. You can include quantifiable metrics like citation, adoption, revenue, policy change, awards, and letters should be professionally formatted, ideally on letterhead. And you should avoid boilerplate letters. USCIS can detect generic phrasing. So let's understand, how does USCIS evaluate letter? USCIS reads letters in conjunction with all other evidence. It should be independent, detailed, evidence-backed letters can prevent RFEs. This is extremely crucial. Weak letters, on the other hand, can trigger RFEs or even contribute to denial. So if you ask me, here are my pro tips. Strong letters should often tie multiple USCIS criteria together, demonstrating your overall impact on a claim, but only if it applies to you. For example, in a single letter, they could discuss original contribution, they could discuss publications or leading role in a distinguished organization. But remember again, it should be applied to you. It should not be forced in a letter. It should be evidence backed, because this shows USCIS that your achievements are interconnected and widely recognized and not isolated events. Now with this, let's move on to, we already talked about step 1, meeting 3 out of 10 criteria and how letters play a role there. Now step 2 is filing your form I-140. For example, you have already prepared these evidences and now you're filing your form I-140. So as of 2026, regular processing usually takes 12 to 18 months and premium processing is available for an additional fee of 2,805, which guarantees USCIS decision within 15 calendar days. Current USCIS form fees includes a mandatory form I-140 fee, which is $715, and asylum or self-petition fee, which is $300. There is also a premium processing fee, which is optional. It's $2,805. Outcomes may include approval, request for evidence, which is RFE, or denial. So what leads to an RFE, or request for evidence? An RFE means that USCIS wants additional documentation or additional proof of evidence. And the ways to minimize RFEs include providing comprehensive, well-organized evidence for each criteria, and expert letters from independent authorities, and a very, very clear narrative connecting your achievements to top field standing with respect to EB-1A, and verified third-party proof such as media, publication, patents, citations, and awards if applicable. Denial. So the first outcome was an RFE, second could be a denial. Unfortunately, but it is applicable to a lot of them. A denial does not prevent future approval, remember this. And common reasons for denial includes weak expert letters, incomplete or poorly presented evidence, and narrative that does not clearly show your top field standing. But if you get a denial, please do not discourage. Like I said, if you receive a denial, you can refile with stronger, well-documented evidence, and many applicants are approved the second time. Now let's talk about step 3, approval after I-140 approval, which is technically step 2 for evaluation process, but step 3 with respect to this video. If your priority date is current, you move to the green card stage. So when you move to the green card stage, you have two options. Option 1 is the adjustment of status with form I-485. So if you are in the US, file form I-485 and the documents would require birth certificate, passport and visa copies, form I-94, which is your travel history, medical exam by independent organization, and police clearance records if required, and evidence of continued eligibility such as employment achievements. Priority dates and waiting times. Your priority date is same as your I-140 filing date, and it must be earlier than your visa bulletin date to be current. Filing before the listed date automatically becomes your current date. If later, wait until your date becomes current. As of March 2026, EB-1A priority date for India and China are January 2024, which is 2 years, 2 months wait. EB-1A for rest of the world is current. EB-2 for India is November 2014, which is about 12 years wait. And for China, it is a 4-year wait with January 2022 as the priority date. Important dates keep in mind that these dates keep changing, so you should regularly check visa bulletin. And also note that during this phase, it is not recommended to travel, as pending I-485 can become void upon departure. Once current, you can also apply for work authorization or EAD and travel authorization or advance parole. Then you have to attend biometrics and if required an interview. And upon approval, you basically get a green card or permanent resident status. Now, if you are not in the United States, you have another option to change your status, which is consular processing. So I-140 approval goes to the National Visa Center in such cases if you are not in the country. Now, you can also submit civil documents, medical exams, and attend interviews. If approved, enter United States as the lawful permanent resident. Now, we will talk about the employment flexibility with respect to EB-1A. Like I said, EB-1A is employer independent. You can change jobs immediately after green card approval. You can start your own company or consult freely. There are no priority date porting needed like EB-1B, EB-1C, or EB-2. Let's talk about the EB-1A validity and citizenship path. So green card validity or EB-1A validity is for 10 years and you can renew it indefinitely. And it makes you eligible to apply for US citizenship just after 5 years, even though you can renew it indefinitely. So let's talk about how green scientists can be helpful. At Green Scientists, we are trusted by hundreds of top R1 universities and institutions in the United States, including Harvard, MIT, UPenn, Georgia Tech, Ohio State University, Rice University, Brown University, and national labs like CDC, NIH, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and reputed institutions such as New York Blood Center, Memorial Sloan, Jackson Laboratory, Emory University, Cincinnati Medical. We have garnered a 5-star rating and received the Best in Category award by 2 independent organizations, one in 2025 and another one in 2026, based solely on the trust from our client and their reviews. And we have maintained an extremely high approval rate despite the uncertainties around NIW, EB-1A, and O-1A, especially in 2025 and 2026. So this is my final recommendation. Let's sum up what we just discussed, right? So EB-1A is about strategically structured evidence and not just checking boxes. Strong, well-documented evidence will reduce the risk of RFE or denial and increase the chances of approval on the first filing. And this should be a goal. Get it approved in the first filing. Professionals worldwide, especially those from India and China, benefit from faster processing because the waiting time on EB-1A is the lowest. It allows you for the career flexibility and long-term security. And we already talked about this in detail. So if you are concerned about the recent political climate and wondering if it's worth it, this is the question I'm receiving from a lot of you. You have to ask yourself, where do I want to be in 5, 10, or 15 years from now? How does permanent residency affect my professional and personal life, family and career opportunities? If your answer is that you want to build your life in the United States, then do not delay. Because without a green card, your opportunities, security, freedom, your as well as your family's freedom remain limited. At Green Scientists, we understand both the science and the immigration law with our affiliated lawyers. You need expert attention not just from lawyers but from scientists to maximize approval chances. And if you are still thinking about your EB-1A eligibility, take the first step to fill out our professional evaluation form, which will be linked in the first comment. And this will give you a clear, realistic understanding of your chances and the next step. If you have other questions regarding EB-1A, please watch other short form videos. I have uploaded more than 50 videos already and I'll continue to do more. Please watch them, use them to your benefit, and make sure that you get your EB-1A approval the first time. I might be seeing some of you at Green Scientist, and I look forward to meeting you.